to all, I am Lavita Pereira, Faculty of Commerce from Milagres College, Mangalore. Today I am going to deal with the topic concept of GST. Under this concept of GST, we are going to learn two topics, that is how GST works or how the GST system working, and the next topic is input tax, output tax and net tax. Before moving to the how the GST system works, we should learn or we should know what is input tax, output tax and net tax. So basically we know that sales are called as outward supply and purchases are called as inward supply. So when we come to the tax, to the topic input tax, output tax and net tax. So here the first is input tax. So tax paid on goods purchased is called input tax. What is the output tax? Tax collected on sales of goods is called output tax. And what is net tax? Before moving to the net tax, let me clear what is input tax and what is output tax. Suppose being a buyer, if you are buying the product or a goods, when you are buying along with the amount of product, if you are paying tax to the seller is called input tax. So if I am a buyer and I am paying amount and tax, I am paying input tax to the seller. Same way output tax, if I am a seller and if I am selling a goods to the purchaser, so what goods I am selling, on that whatever tax I am collecting, that is called output tax. So what is net tax? So net tax is nothing but tax is paid to the government after adjustment of ITC. So ITC is nothing but input tax credit. So net tax is paid by the seller or the purchaser after the all the adjustment of input tax credits, whatever tax is paid to the government, that is called net tax. So before moving to the GST system, I hope you are clear what is output tax, input tax and net tax. Input tax is a tax paid on the purchase of goods. Output tax is tax collected on the sale of goods, and net tax is after all the adjustment of input tax credit, whatever tax is paid to the government. So how this input tax, output tax and net tax is connected to the GST system. How this input tax, output tax and net tax works under GST system, we are going to learn today. So already we learned what is input tax, what is output tax and what is net tax. So now we have to learn how this input tax, output tax and net tax is connected to the GST system or working on GST system. So let us see how the GST system works. So I am taking one example. I am going to explain GST system with an example. So let us take from the manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer and customer. Of course the goods comes from the manufacturer. Manufacturer will produce the goods or manufacture the goods. From there the process will start. So manufacturer will sell goods to the wholesaler. Wholesaler will sell goods to the retailer. Then it will reach to the final customer. So let us take an example how the GST works from this manufacturer till the customer. Say for example, manufacturer fixed the cost for the product is rupees 100. So of course whenever he fixed the cost or whenever he is selling the product, he will keep a profit. Say for example, he kept a profit for 100 rupee cost, that is 10 rupees. So 110 rupees will be the selling price. Now he is going to impose GST. For example, say for example the product GST rate is 10%. So 10% of 110 is rupees 10. So the total value is rupees 120. Now this 120 rupees goods the manufacturer is going to sell to the wholesaler. Now for the wholesaler, the selling price of the manufacturer will become the cost price. So for the wholesaler, the cost price is rupees 110. Now when the wholesaler is selling the goods to the retailer, of course he will keep the profit for that rupees 110 rupees. So say for example, profit he kept as rupees 10 rupees. So the selling price is 120 rupees. Selling price is rupees 120 and GST is fixed at 10%. So 10% of 120 is rupees 12. So total amount will be 132 rupees. So coming to the retailer, the selling price of the wholesaler will become the cost price for the retailer. So cost price fixed by the retailer is rupees 120 and he keeps the profit is rupees 10. So selling price will be 130 rupees. So he fixed the GST or the GST rate of that product is 10%. So 10% on 130 is rupees, tax will be 13. So the value will be 143 or the amount will be 143. So now taking from the manufacturer. Now already I explained the concept of input tax, output tax and net tax. I told you what is input tax and output tax and net tax. Input tax is a tax paid by the purchaser to the seller. Output tax is a tax collected by the seller from the purchaser. So coming here to the manufacturer, for the manufacturer, the output tax will be rupees 10. Whereas this 10 rupees will become the input tax to the wholesaler. The 10 rupees is the output tax, that is manufacturer is collecting 10 rupees from the wholesaler. So rupees 10 will become the output tax to the manufacturer. So seller is collecting tax from the wholesaler. So 10 rupees is the output tax to the manufacturer. Wholesaler is paying 10 rupees to the manufacturer. So this 10 rupees will become the input tax to the wholesaler. So coming to the wholesaler, 12 rupees will be the output tax for the wholesaler because this 12 rupees is collecting from the retailer when he sells the goods. So retailer when he purchases the goods is paying 12 rupees to the wholesaler. So this will become the input tax to the wholesaler from the retailer. So now when coming to the retailer, this 13 is output tax to the retailer. When coming to the customer is purchasing 143 rupees goods. Here coming to the customer, the cost price is 130 rupees and here customer can't keep the profit because customer is the final person who is going to buy a goods. He can't sell the goods, he is going to buy a goods. So he is purchasing 130 rupees with the GST payment 13 and total amount is paying to the retailer is 143. So this is GST. 13 is a GST. So cost is 130. So together 143 is paying to the retailer. So now for the retailer, 13 rupees is the output tax. And here for the part of customer, there is no input tax, there is no output tax because the customer is the final person who pays the GST to the government, entire GST to the government. So coming to the part of how is paying the GST to the government or how the output tax is paid, how the input tax is paid and what is net tax. So already I told the concept of input tax and output tax. Now here output tax for the manufacturer is rupees 10, input tax for the wholesaler is 10. Coming to the wholesaler, 12 is the tax, that is 12 is the output tax for the wholesaler and 12 is the input tax for the retailer and for the retailer 13 is the output tax. So now what is net tax? Coming to the wholesaler here, he has collected the output tax 12. There is a formula for net tax, that is net tax is equal to output tax minus input tax. Let's take the example of wholesaler. he has collected the output tax is 12 and he has paid input tax to the manufacturer, that is 10. Here he is selling the goods to the retailer for 12 is the output tax to the retailer and he had paid 10 as a tax to the manufacturer. So this 10 will become the input tax to the wholesaler. So here net tax, that is 12 minus 10 is 2. This 2 will become the net tax. Already I gave the meaning of net tax. Net tax is nothing but tax paid to the government after all the adjustment of input tax credit. So here after all the adjustment, after minusing from output tax, the input tax, what tax is remaining? That 2 as paid net tax by the wholesaler to the government. Now coming to the retailer. So here again taking the same formula, net tax is equal to output tax minus input tax. So coming to the part of a retailer, for retailer output tax is 13 and he paid input tax to the wholesaler, that is 12. So this 1 will become the net tax to the retailer. So here only 1 he is going to pay to the government. So coming to the part of the manufacturer, manufacturer has only output tax and this 10 he has collected from the wholesaler. So this 10 manufacturer is paying to the government. So net tax paid by the manufacturer to the government is 10. So when coming to the customer, now this 10 plus 2 plus 1, that is 10 plus 12 plus 1, 13, that is the total GST tax is paid by the customer to the government. So here whatever output tax or whatever input tax, there is no double taxation or cascading effect, because here wholesaler pays only 2 net tax to the government, where retailer pays only rupees 1, but the customer pays 10 plus 2 plus 1 plus 13. So here is the customer will bear a liability of paying tax to the government. So this is how the GST system works, how the input tax and output tax involved in the GST system. So I have given the example starting from the manufacturer to the customer, what is input tax and output tax, what is net tax, and how the customer is paying the GST to the government. I hope the topic is clear, how the GST system works and how the GST is paid by the customer to the government. Thank you.